Namaskar, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I am Namrata Singh and you're watching Perspective. The World Intellectual Property Organization has reported an unprecedented surge in patent filings by Indian applicants, marking a remarkable 32% growth in 2022. This surge not only extends an impressive 11-year run by India, but also showcases the nation's ability in fostering an innovation ecosystem. What's particularly noteworthy is the shift in dynamics. For the first time, more patents being filed by Indian residents than foreign entities. Interestingly, resident patent filing in India, which are filed with the Indian Patent Office, also increased by 47% in 2022. Hailing the rise in patent applications in India, Prime Minister Modi has said it demonstrated the rising innovative zeal of its youth and is a very positive sign for the times to come. In absolute terms, India accounts for the sixth largest number of patent applications globally. China is by far the largest, followed by US, Japan, South Korea and European Union. The bulk of intellectual property filing activity occurs in Asia, which accounted for 67.9% of global patent filing activity in 2022. In our discussion today, we will focus on the factors that lead to the significant improvements in the patent application process in the last few years. To discuss this and much more, I am joined by a very eminent panel of guests. Joining me virtually is Professor Unnat P. Pandit. He is Controller General of Patents, Designs and Trademarks, DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. We also have Professor Prabodh Ganguly. He is CEO, Vision IPR. Gentlemen, thank you for your time and welcome to Sansad TV. Professor Pandit, I would like to begin the discussion with you. The WIPO report highlights a remarkable growth in the patent filings by Indian applicants. How significant do you see this substantial rise in patent filings by residents of India? What key factors do you think have contributed to this surge?
This is something which is most significant, whereas entire world during the COVID time were facing the challenges for their livelihood, then Indian researchers were busy innovating. And they have not just innovated, but they have also protected their intellectual property. And we have seen that during COVID-19 timeframe, so many IP-driven solutions were designed by the youth. And Honorable PM has noticed this, the creation of Indian youth during this time frame, and he has also appreciated by tweeting this success of this remarkable hike in the patent filing. So this is not just the journey, but if I compare with the previous time frame of the government 2014 to 19 and 19 to till date, there is a remarkable hike of 300% in the patent grant, 314 to be specific. So the number of patents granted in last 5 years and the previous regime of 14 to 19, there is a jump of a 314%,
Right.
which is a significant jump. And this shows the success of the Startup India movement, or the kind of encouragement which government has provided to the student, youth, researcher in this throughout this 9 years of a journey. This is a result of the investment which government has made in the strategic IP-driven economic reforms.
Right. Like you were talking about the innovation, Professor Ganguly, for the first time there were more patents filed by Indian residents than foreign filers. What does this shift indicate about India's innovation ecosystem and how it can impact the country's economic development?
Yes. See, if you look at these numbers first, right? If we just look at numbers and look at the quality of activities that have gone on, all innovations which are there do not always result in inventions which are protected by patents. We have designs. So people create new types of designs. That's also innovation. People create trademarks so that they can show their presence in the market and differentiate their products and services in the market. So the trade comes in there. So if you look at all this, as far as Indian patent filings are concerned, as Professor Pandit has appropriately mentioned, that in the last 5 years, for example, there's been a 33% growth in patent filings in India, whereas the global average, the growth is only 7.3%. That's the first point to note. Second, in terms of industrial design registrations, India actually in the last 5 years has doubled its design applications, whereas the global rate has only been about 18.6%. So India has been far ahead in that over the global average. If you look at the trademark applications in India in the last 5 years, it has gone up by 75%, where the global average has grown only by 46.5%. Now, what does this show? This shows that overall, the Indian innovators, especially the youth and in academic institutions and everywhere else, there is a surge in innovation, number one. Number two, people have become aware because government's efforts to really enhance the awareness of intellectual property rights and its role that it plays in industry, in growth, in trying to get in more jobs, creating jobs, all these things create a major thrust out there. Very importantly, this increase shows the overall growth of innovation in India, a completely different mindset. Earlier, it was not there, which now is seeing continuously on the rise. Why has this happened? Very importantly, first part, I think, is the government's efforts to popularize innovation, to popularize intellectual property right led innovations has gone up by leaps and bounds. That's number one. And I think DPIIT has played an enormous role in that. And so has all the other ministries played an enormous role. Point number one. Point number two, the whole process of digitization has completely changed the scenario. You don't have to go to the patent office to file patents or designs or trademarks or whatever. You can digitally file everything. You digitally get everything out there. So that's the second part. Third part is the lowering of cost. The cost has been lowered for startups, for entrepreneurs, for education institutions. So it's about 4 times less than what it used to be before, 4 to 6 times less. So all these have brought in a new surge, a new, what I would say, an interest in not only innovating but protecting your innovations and taking it to the marketplace. That's what I think has happened. Broadly.
Right, right. Like Professor Ganguly is talking about the government's efforts. Professor Pandit, also for the first time in the last 11 years, the domestic patent filing has surpassed the number of patents filed by non-Indians at the Indian Patent Office in the last quarter of 2021-2022. What are the key sectors where India is making notable contributions in patent filings?
See, if I clearly define the sectors, the electronics and communication sector, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, mechanical, electrical engineering, all these are the hotbed sector, which I should say that wherein the researcher wants to create a novel solutions and protect their intellectual property. And most promising is the electronic and the pharmaceutical sector, where they are creating novel solutions.
Okay, okay. Professor Ganguly, according to the WIPO Director General, developing countries are increasingly engines of IP, showing the greatest growth rates as they harness the innovation and creative potential of their people. How do patents, industrial design and trademarks play a collective role in fostering substantial growth rates, and what are the dynamics of their contribution in this regard?
Yes. So if you look at all these aspects of innovations, industrial designs and inventions, trademarks, and all these factors put together, what it does is that you protect your innovation. It is sort of a 360-degree protection of your innovation. It's not a one-dimensional protection, it's a 360-degree protection. So first of all, you're innovating more, you're protecting in a more strategic manner. And very important, that is what helps you to go to the marketplace and keep your competitive edge in the marketplace. So that is where the changes happen. That's where the things happen. That's the first part. Second, very important change which has happened in India, and I cannot but mention it. Earlier, the entire judiciary system was not fully geared up to handle issues of intellectual property rights. In the last few years, the entire judiciary in India has taken a completely different dimension. So that moment you go for enforcement or you want to take a matter to the court, today you can get your decisions within weeks, within days. So this is something which has made a complete difference out there in India. So the point is that the whole effort of competitiveness in the marketplace, that if somebody is copying me, I have the confidence today to go to the court, take that copier to the court, and then get justice and speedy justice. This is something which is enormously noteworthy in India, which I think is remarkable. That's what has made a big change. The last part that I would like to mention in this enforcement part, whether it's the police department or the customs or the border, arrangements and everything else, they've all become aware of the importance of intellectual property in trade. This is where I think the Ministry of Commerce and Trade, the Ministry of Law, and all the other ministries have played a very important role in getting this awareness up. And judiciary, of course, hats off to what they have done in the last few years.
All right. Professor Pandit, India is seeing a surge in startups and unicorns, and an effective IPR system is an essential prerequisite for a healthy startup ecosystem. If you could take us through the factors that have led to this transformation, and what specific government policies do you think have played a vital role in creating an environment that encourages a higher number of patent filings in the country?
See, first of all, we must appreciate the fact that this government has made a significant change in the perception towards the establishing an enterprise and also creating the intellectual property driven solutions. For the during this last 9 years of a term, the government has made 12 major amendments in the rules, and all these are just to facilitate the working of and utilizing the intellectual property for the business potential. And all these amendments are leading to the strong IP regime. And I must say that this is an IP friendly approach which government has shown for the individuals, for the startups, for the SME, MSME industry. Come and protect your IP in India. This is the entire major drive, I can say that. And as Professor Ganguly has earlier mentioned, that the reduction in the fees, there is a 75% reduction in the patent filing fees for individual, for the academic institutions, for SME, MSME, and the startups. This has really made a big boost. And woman in IP is also the motive which government has encouraged. And last year, WIPO has also celebrated women in IP. I would like to put some facts here that in the 14 to 19 and 19 to till date, there is a
Right.
huge jump in the woman protecting their IP. There is a 1720% jump in the woman protecting their intellectual property. And out of the total filing by women in India, 99% are the domestic woman filer. So there is a gap of a 99 who is 1% in the domestic woman applicant and the foreign woman applicant. So this is a huge change, which is certainly the commitment which government has shown that women in IP should be encouraged. Kiran is one of such program of a DST wherein in last 12 years, more than 900 women IP professionals got the professional training and they got the career secondment opportunity. So they are a science graduate or they are the scientist, researcher at one point in time working in the industry or research institution, but after the marriage, if they want the career secondment opportunity, this Kiran program under the Department of Science and Technology, TIFAC, is championing this program. They have trained 900 plus women and they are now either the self entrepreneur, they are now working in the multinational corporates, or many of them have also started their own IP legal firms and they are serving to the country. And this is again one of the approach which they have adopted to specially recognize the woman and encourage them to protect their IP. And such a huge jump is contribution of a woman to the society and designing the solutions, protecting their solutions. So we must appreciate the woman power in IP.
Precisely, it's like government's vision of from women development to women-led development we're talking
Yes.
about. Professor Ganguly, how women participation can be improved more in this regard?
Yeah. See, first of all, I would say let us start from the formal education system and then go to the non-formal educational system. So in the formal educational system, in the universities, in the schools, colleges, and research institutions, the first change that has happened is that many of these universities, especially if you now take the University Grants Commission, if you take the AICTE and all these other institutions that are linked to the educational system in India, including the new education policy. So if you look at all these things comprehensively, first of all, most of the institutions have now started creating what I would call as an institutional IPR policy, IPR guidelines, IPR ways, the processes by which intellectual property rights intellectual property that's generated within the institutions can be protected. So there is a process which is put in place. And this is begun already in major IITs and major universities. This is the process which has already started. This is something that we need to enhance, and make it happen. So the educational system must really make this as a part of the education and not something which comes an analysis after you have done the innovation. This becomes a part of your innovation process. That's the first part. Second part, which is very significant, and that is if I have an innovation, whom do I go to? Very important part because I don't know how to protect. So the question that comes is who will help me to protect it? Now, in this, if you look at the DIPP, the DIP's approach, that there is also what is known as an IP Mitra program, where there are a large number of IP professionals who have registered with the Indian Patent Office or the Indian IP Office, intellectual property. And the government is actually funding them, saying, look, if you help entrepreneurs, if you help the innovators, then we will give you a certain honorarium or a certain amount of, fees. And so that has brought in another dimension to the whole thing. So that is the second part. Third important part is that, the speed at which I can get my patent or design applications or trademark applications examined. Earlier, I had to wait for many, many years before the patent or designs or trademark applications were examined. Today, the system has speeded up And no, today we are confident that when we make an application, that within about 4 to 6 months, and Professor Pandit would be able to tell you more about it, but within about 4 months or so, I can expect an examination report from the patent office. In about 3 to 4 months, I can expect an examination on the design registration that I make. For trademark, similar speed. So it makes a completely different economy, ecosystem, where it is a facilitating process and yet a regulatory process by the IP office. And this is where we see us partnering in this process to enhance the innovation. So, women entrepreneurs and other entrepreneurs are now coming forward really with this confidence and belief. But more important, not just the confidence, but with the belief that, I can get speedy justice and I can get speedy governance. That's what I would think is a very important factor.
Precisely when we're talking about education, academia, Professor Pandit, in the realm of patents, the alliance between academia and industry has been touted as a catalyst for innovation. How do collaborative efforts between academic institutions and industries in India specifically contribute to the generation of patents?
This is the sector wherein I think we need to put some more efforts. Academia collaboration with the industry or the applied research under the university, academia, and the research institutions focusing for the industry problem. And here I think the National Research Foundation, which is established by the government of India, is going to play a pivotal role. And under NRF there is going to be a financial assistance provided for the applied research. And I foresee that the next big efforts which government of India wants to put in is on encouraging the academia and industry collaboration. The research is being done in the academic institutions, but that is mainly focused on the basic research. And academia focusing on the applied research is the need of an hour. And I think in next few years, the academia is going to solve the real-time problems.
Yeah.
Of course, they are solving now also, but the proportion is very less. Now, if we have to go for a leapfrog jump, then we need to have a concrete efforts put in by the academic institutions for the applied research, especially MSME and SME is desperately in need of the research support. And I think that's the area wherein we can have the real-time focus.
Okay. Professor Ganguly, despite the growth, innovators often face challenges in the patenting process. What obstacles do Indian innovators encounter, and how can these be addressed to the sustained momentum?
Right. So, the point is that, I look at it, for example, I am an innovator. Now, if I'm an innovator, the first part, I really don't know what part of my innovation can actually be protected. What is the potential of my innovation to really go to the marketplace? Who will take it and market my innovation? So the question that comes in is that they need an auxiliary support system to the innovators. That look, if you innovate, we will be able to tell you that we will be able to take it to the market. The innovator taking to the market is a very difficult process. Scaling up is always a major issue. So I would think that, what we need at this stage is some sort of a facilitative framework. And that facilitative framework, we do have Atal Innovation Mission and other things, but those are which help the innovation. But what we need is an innovation plus system, a facilitating system which will tell us that, look, if you have something, come to us and we will help you to do these particular bits. Now, that is a major part, number one. Number two, when you do the protection, okay, filing these patents means drafting good patents, putting the right claims, putting the, know when to file, how to file. All these things, the innovators should not be burdened with all that. So we must have that facilitating process must help us do all this. So we need in our country a process of that type. A, B, we must have our industry also becoming a bit more responsible and taking and responsive. Industry is already responsible, but I'm saying industry ought to be responsive. Come and say, these are some of our problems. Can you solve it for us? If you solve this problem, we will take it up, we will mark it, we will protect it, and we will do a fair benefit sharing arrangement. So you grow, we all grow together. So I think these are the type of systems that we now need to evolve and mature in our country. We are doing it in a sporadic manner. Not that we are not doing it, we are doing it in a sporadic manner. We need to do it in a more, what I would say, comprehensive and in a more collective manner. That is what we need today.
So
If I-
basically,
if I
collective
may-
initiative is the mantra. Very quickly, Professor Pandit, based on the current trajectory, what do you foresee for the future of Indian patent filings?
Indian patent filing is increasing day by day, and I must submit that it is soon going to touch the 1 lakh filing in India. And of course, the grant is also going to double this year. So
Precisely.
last year it was 34,000,
Yeah.
which was the highest ever grant in India. And till today, we have surpassed the last year's number. We have a 41,010 patents granted till today. The numbers are in front of my screen. But this shows that we have surpassed the last year's highest ever number in this year's 7 months. And now still journey continues for till the March 24. And I also make a submission that the previous in previous question Professor Ganguly has mentioned about the facilitating framework. So in form 27 for the patent rules amendment 2023, government has already taken this into the account. The researcher and the institutions who have developed the IP driven solutions protected in India, in Form 27, they can express their desire to help the IP office in commercializing this. And if
Okay.
they submit, then all those patents will get listed on the IP India website, that these are the innovators, researcher, applicant who
Precisely.
are
Precisely.
precisely
Precisely.
willing to out-license their IP, which is the big step towards catalyzing the IP for the commercialization.
Correct, correct. Okay, well, on that note, thank you, Professor Pandit, Professor Ganguly, for speaking to us. India's remarkable growth in patent filing not only underscores the nation's impressive 11-year streak, but also highlights the nation's evolving role in the global innovation landscape. That's all I have for you in this edition of Perspective. Thanks for watching.